This is Andrea with Parking Lot Debrief. Okay, I'm here with my friend. I've got Audrey. What's your sign name? Over here. Okay.
Yep. Hand on the shoulder.
Audrey. Audrey McCann. And what's best about having this podcast, at least right now, I just get to talk with my friends because that's all the people I know. My circle of people, those are the only people I know. I just wrote my friends in to come and talk with me. But I thought of doing a podcast episode about obviously wanting to talk with a CODA, and you were the first that came to mind.
Aw.
And really, as an interpreter colleague, as a friend, but who's also a CODA, we've had these open conversations about this
Yes.
stuff and with others. So, yeah, we met. God, oh my God, what?
You
20?
moved from Michigan.
Yes, 2016. Right. I moved to Austin from Michigan. And I think we just work together here and there, and then we both now move to Colorado, which is great. So
Right.
yeah, just
Yay.
yeah, give a short bio, who you are, what kind of work do you do, whatever you feel like sharing.
Sure. I'm Audrey McCann. This is my name sign. And I'm CODA, obviously. I'm married. I live here in Colorado. My husband and two dogs, my cat. I have a large deaf family. Most of them are in Austin, but they're kind of spread out right now. I have been interpreting since I got my certification in 2002 when I was 19. Wait, or was I 18? No. I just turned 19 when I got certified and hit the ground running. And we're here now. It's been like that since.
2002. I'm like math and man, that's just a long time ago.
Yes, it is.
So yeah, Coda. And in my head, obviously, there's a lot of different flavors or brands of CODA folks. CODAs who are the only hearing person with an entire family of deaf, or some CODAs with hard of hearing slash little d deaf parents who don't sign very well. You know, it runs
Yep.
the gamut and
Yep.
a mix of folks in that. So, I mean, you don't have to tell me your whole family history, but just what type of CODA are you, do you feel?
Um, well, sometimes I don't even mention CODA because it's not just child of deaf adult for me. It's my siblings. It's I'm an aunt. So I just say I have deaf family instead of
Right.
I CODA because CODA is not even really, that doesn't even really encapsulate what I really am, I guess. I mean, it does, but CODA, only CODA, um, both really. Growing up, CODA was my experience. I grew up with my sister, the two of us, the two bottom ones were our CODAs. And growing up, I had that sibling sisterhood. We were 2 years apart, and my other siblings, they are much older than me. They're like 15 years older than me or something. They are deaf, and I have some half siblings as well that are CODA as well. But anyway, so my CODA sister passed away when I was 27. So I became an only CODA at that time. But I do have cousin that's a CODA in the family as well, which is kind of more like a sibling anyway. We have really interesting dynamics in our family. The nieces and nephews feel like brothers and sisters, and
Close,
we're
yeah.
just really close in age. Yes, exactly. Yep. So definitely capital D deaf though.
Yeah, and I mean, some people with deaf family are very resistant to becoming an interpreter and are like, screw that,
That was
never.
me.
That was
Oh,
you? That
yes.
often happens, right? Of like, never. And then people just get into it eventually.
Well, growing up, I interpreted a lot and I enjoyed interpreting.
Right.
My father used not used me, but had me as his interpreter growing up, often for a lot of different things. And he treated it like a job. I would skip school. I would go interpret for him. We would go out to eat. We would go to the mall. I would buy something. That was like instead of him like paying. He didn't want to ever take advantage of me. And so as I got older, though, or I got really burnt out on interpreting again, like I would have to call the police and interpret, like call the police on my sister. And so those dynamics, like I'm
Uh,
interpreting for my parents, but it's about my sister. And it just put me in those,
yeah.
yes,
Yeah.
exactly. It was stress. I did not like it. Or my dad would want me to make the decisions while I was interpreting for him. Like, oh, I'd be like, "What's your social security number?" He's like, "Answer it for me." And it was just like, ugh, that just those extra feelings. And so, no, I did not want to be an interpreter as my profession. But my older cousin, Beverly Young, you know her.
Yeah.
She's an interpreter, and she was like, "Get your certification." Get it. Because back then, BEI did not have a degree requirement. And so she was like, go take your certification. And so I passed it. And she was like, once you pass, you will change your mind later. And once you change your mind, you'll have the certification ready. And I was like,
Right. You
fine.
can
Okay, I'll do it.
earn money this isn't your family. You got to talk with other people. You can maybe lay
Exactly.
boundaries with other people.
Right. But I did not want, like, even after I got certified, I still was like, no, 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 I'm working at Sonic. I'm going to be a manager. Like, I loved it. And so I was like, fine, I'll interpret a little bit. And then, well, they're like, please just resign from Sonic. Come interpret for me full time. And they were like really gunning for me to quit. And so I was like, fine. And I can't even really imagine doing anything other than interpreting now. So I'm
Right.
really grateful to my cousin and all of those others that really pushed me along the way.
Right. And myself not being a CODA and others may look at CODAs and think, well, oh man, we're so jealous. You already have that innate language. You already have ASL, the hardest part for us sometimes. And you have that sign language. And does that mean that what skills you do have matches each and every deaf person that you work with? Because you have your specific upbringing and experience.
Right.
And it's so interesting that interpreting from a not CODA point of view and a CODA point of view, we look at you all and say, "Oh, you already have the skill." And CODAs may say, "Oh man, you've got the education, you've got a different
Yep.
upbringing than I did, a different type of trauma that's not interpreting related at 8."
Right.
Such different views at this. So,
Yeah,
yeah.
for sure. For sure.
And it makes me think like CODAs. So, I mean, we all automatically think of, at least from what we used to think of what CODA meant was like, okay, this is this type of person. But I mean, honestly, legit through my career, I mean, I've never really had any sort of like, okay, well, that's a CODA attitude. I mean, because every
Yep.
single CODA and every person I meet is so different.
Right.
Um, you're not all the same, literally in any sort of way.
Well, and really, like when I went to my first CODA conference, and I've only gone once when it was hosted in Austin, and I was actually shocked to meet a CODA that didn't sign at all. I was like, what? I was floored because that was not my dynamic. But right, CODAs are not all the same. Some sign, some are a little bit oral, some are off awesome signers, and some, sign to get by. There is such a variety.
Yeah. Well, and um, yeah, I mean, I am I imagine you as a coda meeting another coda, there's a vibe or you're kind of gauging each other and feeling each other out in terms of like their background, your background, where do you all connect or not connect? It's a whole, I mean,
Right.
same as any other situation of meeting a team.
Definitely. I mean, you do have that almost instant bond.
Mm,
It's just something's there that you I don't know, it's that connection. And I don't know what it is, but
mhm.
it's there and you'll feel it. But it doesn't mean like you don't have that with others either.
Yeah. Let me see. Gosh, we've got a long list of stuff on the sheet here. Where do I start? Um, so I know you felt nervous to be on this episode, honestly. A lot of people do. It's hard to put ourselves out there. But you had mentioned sometimes it may feel as a coda like you're under a microscope.
Yeah.
From who is my question? I'm sure all, but like from who do you feel that?
I mean, first for myself,
Yeah.
but I don't know. It's family, my colleagues, friends. I mean, it's just the fact of, do I even sign, or am I voicing this? Am I speaking English? Like first I was like, no, I want to sign. And then it's like, but if I do, am I going to code switch and am I going to change how I sign to try to match the audience? And then I'm not going to feel like I'm signing right. But if I speak, I'm not CODA enough. It's like, wait a minute, we just talked about how CODAs are not all the same. So why am I even thinking that? But it's like, that shitty committee that just goes on in your
Mhm.
fucking head. It's there.
Mhm.
Like it just colonizes.
It is. I mean, I imagine you're not alone. I can imagine other codas feel that kind of torn of, wait, I want to express myself. I should sign to ensure that my family and friends and community understand. Yeah, I'm sure you're not
Yeah.
alone in that anxious feeling.
Right.
Yeah. Um, Under the microscope, right? It could be, right? You said peers from the deaf community, yourself, other codas. Yeah. That feeling of judgment or prove yourself. Go ahead, coda. Prove yourself. That type of thing.
Yeah. It's like, so I feel like if an error is made, the error is almost weighted more. Like, you missed that one. You're a CODA. You shouldn't have missed that. And
Hmm.
it's like, okay, cool. I do blink, but I don't know. It's those little things. It's I don't know. It's just really interesting. And like my CODA experience in Austin and my CODA experience here in Colorado
Diff
is different.
So different, I'm sure.
It's interesting. Um, I miss my CODA family in Austin.
Hmm.
Wow. Like here, I don't know. It's interesting. When I first moved here, people actually said, "Hey, don't tell people you're CODA. People hate CODAs here." And I
Really?
was like, "Oh, cool." Yeah, I mean, that has not been my experience here, but it's like, I don't know. It's just like, wait, I have to hide who I am? Like, that's kind of odd, but I don't know. It's just weird dynamics. Mm.
Yeah, and I was going to ask, do you typically disclose that, whether that to the be deaf person or your team interpreter or the agency, and say, I'm a coda or I have deaf family? Or do you tell people that?
I mean, if it comes up naturally, then sure. But just like, hey, this is my badge. No, I think that's kind of cringe. um, I don't know. No, I don't. I mean, they might ask, but no, not really.
Yeah, and you say in some spaces, in some towns and cities and communities, it's great to bring up and discuss, but other places, like you said, people say don't tell people because you'll get judged or
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah. And I just kind of like, okay, I like take what you with a grain of salt. Like
Hmm.
that's your experience. Like I'm not going to, I just really try not to allow people to influence my perspective of people or perception of people or my experiences with them. I don't know
Because that's their shit.
because yeah, exactly.
Obviously, that person had a bad experience, and that is yours to figure out.
Right. And maybe like how did you treat them? You know what I mean? Like let's look at
Yeah.
that. I mean, I know how I treat people, so there's that.
And you have yet to meet me, Audrey, so
Yes. Yep.
you're welcome now. You're going to have a great experience with this coda. But yeah, I mean, often you're feeling that pressure of being under the microscope, essentially, because ITPs, deaf people,
Yep.
in general, interpreters in general, pedestalize codas. Oh my gosh. They're the best. They don't make mistakes. They must be perfect.
I have seen some really lousy codas, just
Right.
saying. So like stop, stop, stop. It's not true. Like, yes, there are some badass interpreters out there, some awesome coda interpreters out
Right.
there, or even nerders or whoever you want to like, whatever you want to call them. People have skills because they have skills. Codas might have an influence of skills, yes, but it's not the only thing.
Yeah, and I mean, I feel maybe you've noticed this, but I feel maybe there's a change throughout the years, and maybe it's my age, maybe it's just the perspective and the experiences I've had. But in the beginning of my career, that word coda, I'm like, oh my gosh, this person. But now I'm like, oh, okay, it's no big deal. There isn't as much like idolization or anything like that. Maybe is it just our age?
I think it just really depends on what environment we're in.
Mm.
Sometimes, like I mentor often, and the students that I mentor, they come out of the program, and I'm like, whoa, whoa, like chill, like don't put me up on the pedestal, like because you know what that's doing, like your vocabulary and your demand control scheme or whatever the fuck, whatever you're talking about. I don't know what you're talking about. Like I did an ITP, I did an IPP, I self-taught. I mean, not self-taught, but
Right.
I developed my skills through workshops and like so I feel like I'm at a deficit. So, no. Like don't put me up there. I feel like I'm the inferior one. Like
Mm.
they'll meet me and they'll start like going off on the tangent, like, oh, I saw you sign this. Why did you pick? And it's like, whoa. And it's like they're so academic with it. I'm just like, bro, like I want to die. I want to vomit. I want to like what is that? Fight, flight or freeze, whatever that
Yes.
I just like froze it. Like, yeah.
Right. You don't know what they're talking about.
But like you put me on this pedestal. It's like, what the fuck? How am I fucking supposed to respond to you? So it's like I don't know. Like I think that's my biggest regret is not going to
Mm.
an interpreter prep program. I wish I did. I was advised not to.
Mm.
And I wish I did. And then later on in life, I wish I did, but then I felt like it was too late to go back. You know what I mean?
Mm.
Like at that point, I'm BEI
Right.
master
You're not
in
going to go now.
class.
Right. Now
Right,
what?
right. But I do feel a little behind sometimes. Like if I go to a workshop, I don't feel like I fully can take it all in and like get everything because I'm like, wait, what does that word mean? What is that? So like I'm trying to figure it out. Like so I go in with an instant barrier. It's a lot of imposter syndrome, really.
Mm.
It's difficult.
Well, and honestly, I've got my master's degree and I don't know shit either. So it's all good. I mean, like, to me, the academia part, the labeling, the vocab, the interpreting process, I can learn all that. And then it has not honestly stuck in my brain. It's not how I teach, it's not how I learn per se. It doesn't help me understand this process any better. So students often ask me the demand control schema stuff as well. Uh, and I'm like, I should know more about this, but all the fancy words you have labeled for this, I'm
Yep.
gonna be like, this is the situation. You label what you think these things are because same. I think a lot of I'm imagining CODAs feel the same of
Right.
no formal education. They feel at a deficit, as you said.
Yeah, and I really enjoy mentoring the students or up and coming interpreters or just those younger ones because I feel like it's mutually beneficial. Because yes,
Learning, yes.
yes, I am learning from them. It's definitely bi-directional, and the mentees that I'm working with here in Colorado, I just really enjoy it.
Free education for you. Teach me
Exactly.
everything from your ITP. Tell me the words.
Yes. Tell me the words. Tell me the words.
Well, yeah, I mean, um, well, like yeah, vocab, the official terms of interpreting and that process, that part in the ITP, but really ITPs, they're they're learning the language, which as a CODA you mostly for the most part to be a if you're assigning CODA already know that as an interpreter, but the professional aspect, the professionalization of it. I mean, how did that develop for you of like you were resistant to become an interpreter, became an interpreter, and then learned the professional part? How was that? I mean, like an easy aspect, or did you have to learn from others, or was it kind of like learn by mistakes?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So luckily, that older cousin I talked about, Bev,
Hmm.
um, oh, that whole cohort of that age group of interpreters from Austin,
Hmm.
the Billies, the Elenas, the Bev, the Michael, like that, the Elena, all of them, they really took me under their wing and they just oof, lifted me up. And I think that's why I really do invest my time in with those younger interpreters because I just want to pass it forward, really. And I think that really fosters growth. And I mean, it's on the job training and just really able to have that like dynamic is just really beneficial.
Well, yeah, and teaching about the CPC and ethics and professional stuff within the program, but those are just things given to the students. They don't honestly know what to do with it. There's nothing to stick to or apply it to yet because they haven't worked.
Hmm.
So sometimes I just wonder if the students are kind of, factory run through, become robot interpreters. Um, CODAs may be able be on the other end of that, of not being that, whether your boundaries may be too loose and not robotic enough, quote unquote, but more relational versus transactional. interpreting. Um,
It's funny you mentioned that because I started when I started interpreting, I was so like, oh, what do I do with boundaries? Like, I don't know where to put them, and that made me so nervous. It was
mm,
so uncomfortable. I wanted it black and white at that time. Like, I didn't know where to do with it, so I was like, bye, cut those boundaries. Like,
hard boundaries.
hard boundaries, like so
Ah,
hard. Like I did not have interpreter friends. We were not friends. Like
interesting.
I would be genuine on my interactions, and after that, I was like, "Peace out, homie. Like we're done. Like we are not friends after work." And it was so hard for my colleagues. They would look at me and be like, "What's up with your boundaries?"
Overcompensate.
Yes, like I just I'm all or nothing. I mean, if you don't already know that about me, but that was hard to I mean, like you've known me since I was little. Like, I
Yeah.
don't know, you know personal things about me, and I know personal things about you. But now we're working, and now it
Yeah.
was messy. Social media, all that. I just, I, it, I just work. We're done. Bye. And then I think as time progressed, I got a little older. I was okay. I can adjust these boundaries. Okay. And then now they're pretty loose. I mean, my boundaries are, what I like to say is my boundaries are latex. I will
Nice.
stretch.
Nice and
I will
flexy.
stretch. I mean, I do have those hard, firm, like outside boundaries, but those inner boundaries, it depends on who I'm interacting with. It's not just interpreting, but I think just in general, my boundaries will flex like that depending on who I'm interfacing with.
I mean, the same journey that I feel like I would have, even as a not CODA of learning. So I graduate, I had them boundaries tight, hard, close because I didn't know what to do. And then maybe I accidentally opened those boundaries too much. Um, I'm, yeah, there's probably different ways that others have learned that. Interesting.
Yeah.
Professional part. And yeah, same. I learned pretty much just by mistakes, people teaching me things, learning from my own mistakes, and then the certification part of it. Do CODAs feel ready to take that exam? Because I mean, honestly, um, ITPs drill this in, they get us prepped for this for an exam or a certification. They, all these classes are for that. So how, yeah, I guess what does that approach or process look like of like, yeah, I'm good. I already know what I'm doing. Fuck it, let's go. Or is there like a fear of, oh, God, I have to take a written part? I have to take a test? Yeah.
Oof.
The TEP is not a piece of cake.
Oh,
It's
that
hard.
TEP. I barely passed.
Right.
My
A lot of
English
people.
is not that great.
Yeah.
Barely passed.
Hmm.
I mean, it was like the SATs. I didn't do well on
Oh,
those
Lord.
either.
Me
I
neither.
actually fell asleep during my SATs. I was like, fuck this shit. I don't need it.
Eh.
Oops.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, certification and then BA, bachelor's degree now required for RID. And I'm not saying that CODAs don't go to school. Many, many do,
Yes,
um,
definitely.
but yeah,
But
my
it was
not
not for
CODA
me.
journey, right, was through schooling. But yeah, you're kind of,
Yeah.
are you grandfathered in?
I have 6 credits to my name. Yep.
Yeah.
Yes. But to be honest, like I missed my poli science final because my dad was like, "Yo, I need you to interpret for me," and I'm like, "I'm gonna fail my final. Don't care." Okay, but so okay, I guess I'm not gonna continue college now. Cool. I guess I'm resigning.
Mm.
Because I got an F there, so there's that. I mean, sure, I could have had better boundaries and whatever, but it's that like that
Family.
that push and pull between like this is important, but so is this with my family. Like, which is more and like I still notice I do that even to this day. I
Yeah.
do deprioritize myself. So
Yeah. I mean, would you say that may be a CODA thing of like maybe the role that your life has been in an upbringing as an interpreter or not caretaker, but like ensuring that families good in terms of access. Uh, Other CODAs may deprioritize themselves as well. I don't know.
I definitely did. I had to make conscious decisions to deprioritize my mental health
Hmm.
because of interpreting situations for the family growing up, for sure. but what are you going to do in the moment? Like they needed access.
Hmm.
And like CODAs back then, like 80s and 90s, are definitely different from CODAs now.
I was thinking same, different. Yeah.
And my CODA experience, I mean, my CODA experience was a great experience. Don't get me wrong. I did a lot of interpreting and I loved interpreting because I wanted to be deaf myself. So interpret, like I would take my sister's hearing aid and I would put them on. And I'd be like, I'm deaf. And my dad would be like, really? You're deaf? And I'm like, yeah, yeah. And he would scream in my ear with it on. I would just have to like keep my face like solid, like no, like I had like, so I practiced so good on turning my ears off and be like, are you deaf? And I'm like, yep, I'm deaf. Like
Oh,
I wanted to be deaf and they wanted me to be deaf too.
mm, yeah. Yeah, I'm thinking about the career and interpreting when it comes to, as we already talked about, boundaries on the job, but boundaries with agencies or boundaries with colleagues,
Yep.
with your time, with your energy. Um, Maybe the CODA mind in terms of scheduling could is different than a non-CODA mind in terms of scheduling a job. I mean, maybe I honestly think I'm just speaking to Audrey here. This is not everybody. You're a
I know
workhorse.
where I know
You
where
work
you're going with
hard.
this.
And I know other CODAs who do, who are willing to do a little bit more and take a little bit more. And I'm making giant generalizations here. I'm not saying this is an applicable to all, but um, yeah,
Yeah. Um, I
yeah,
definitely hustle, but it's not just like interpreting.
yeah.
It's an
Right, right,
Audrey
right.
hustle. I've
Who you
always been
are.
a hustler. Yeah. Like I remember being 16 working at Sonic and I was working till midnight and I dance practice at 6 a.m. But which means when I got off work at midnight, I would go home and then I still had to do my homework. I'd be up till like 2 or something. So I'd go to sleep at 2, get up at 6, working 40 hours a week with this and that. I mean, nothing's really changed since then.
Right.
But I mean, that's just innate. But also like I don't have kids. So like yes, okay. So some people have to like haul their kids around to like soccer practice and do all
Right.
this, like all these other things. Like that is energy expent. Like hats off to them, like those working parents, you know what I mean? And I think it's about what is the tax that is like what's taxed on your body, what's the tax on your mental space, because from week to week it can look different. My day to day can look differently. Some days I'm like no, 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 the tax on my body is no, I can't today. Like I have to like shorten my days. Or okay, I'm also bipolar too though, so I manic. um
You get
yes,
through
I
stuff. You
yeah,
do.
I get when I've got when I am manic, I take that momentum. And if I
Mhm.
don't have the energy, then who knows? Um, and when I crash, I think that's why I really like freelance too, is I can really
Yes.
modulate my schedule. And you can kind of so I do have a set core schedule, and then the rest of it I modulate depending on what the tax is. My body and my mental tax as well.
Yeah. And maybe this is a dumb question, but you're signing, you're interpreting, does that hurt your body less than my interpreting would hurt my body? Because it's more of a maybe natural movement to you, or do you kind of turn it into a more rigid interpreter mode, or is it more of a natural movements because you grew up using the language?
I don't know. I mean, maybe maybe have a little bit more endurance because you're just more used to it. But no, it's different. Conversational
Of
rather than
course.
interpreting. Because if it's my like if I'm talking, I control the terminology, I control the pace, I control the like maybe if I know I'm hurting, maybe I wouldn't use that certain word choice. I would pick something else. But if I'm interpreting, I have less demand control schema. Wait, or whatever. I don't know. Was that a bad
Right,
affirmation?
everybody?
Oh my
Did we get
God. Oh
this
my God.
right?
Please don't laugh at me. Don't laugh at me.
Uh, um, Let me see here.
But um I am ballistic when I sign. I hit myself. So I mean, yeah, it hurts. And if I don't take care of myself, I mean, I'm not like a robot, but yeah, I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, I feel like you have more interpreting stamina possibly than me
I think I just have more stamina here and all
as a
over.
human. Yes, just as a human.
But I do notice like if I start to get tired, I will kind of change how I'm signing.
Yeah, and us working together is fun, you and I. Um, we've had great examples that you and I both often share with students and mentees. I'm not a CODA when I work with you. We've done countless random assignments together and countless conferences together
Yes.
where we're both sitting with a microphone working into English for a deaf person presenting. And it makes a world of difference when you team with your friends and
Yes.
you can read each other, vibe together, work together
Yes.
well. And I think you were the first CODA who I was like, oh, cool, cool. All right. I mean, that wasn't a like big deal or top of mind thing. It was a
Yeah.
known thing and we moved on. But I liked that you identified your strengths and weaknesses and
Yep.
I did the same and they matched and complemented each other well.
Definitely complimentary.
Yes. They where we could support each other. I remember one example. We were working into English, sitting very close to each other. I was not catching the information well, and you're like, I'm catching every word, but I don't want to speak it into the mic because I'm not going to get the English exactly right. And you've got that, so you fed me literally almost
Yes.
every word, and I made the English a little bit prettier and all that, and got it down
Yes.
to make sure it matched the setting and matched the speaker. But my eyeballs were not doing their job, but your eyeballs were doing the job. So it was just like this perfect teamwork
Definitely.
of relying on each other's strengths. Absolutely.
100%. And like I'm seeing the words, but like the processing, and it really just depends on which register we're working in as well. Like if it's, kind of here and more intimate register, cool. But that one little slice, like I know it, but I convince myself I don't know it.
Right. I'm just saying it's your confidence. I'm like, you know how to do this. It's
I
more of
know.
just insecure.
Yep. Yep.
Yep.
So and it's funny because people will be like, um, oh, I want you for this. I'm like, no, 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 academia. Nope, that's not my strength. And they're
Yeah.
like, you're fine. I'm like, no, 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 no. They're like, I'm requesting you. And I'm like, oh, okay. But yeah, I think it's more of
Yes.
just a mental block. And
Yes.
that block is like, oof, it's severe. That
Mhm.
block, that anxiety is enough to make me like I can see it, but I completely like dissociate from everything almost. And it's like, but yes, I love having a non-CODA partner as a team. It's really my favorite.
I mean, that imposter syndrome feeling of
Yeah.
I don't belong in academia. I can't. Um, but I mean, often, go ahead.
Well, go
I
ahead.
mean, often deaf people within academia, it's spoon fed to interpreters anyway.
Yes.
We just have to say the words they're giving us half time. So,
Right, right, exactly. But it's like I I mean on the most simple thing, like this sign. I'm like, oh, okay, it's okay,
instructor.
you're definitely not teacher. And I don't want to insult them, you know what I mean? Like because academia sometimes it can be a little I'm a PhD. I'm not an instructor. I'm a professor
Professor,
or
teacher, right.
whatever. And so it's like which word do I use? Which one? Which is the English? And it's
Mm,
enough to just like overcome and just yeah, it's I'm done.
yeah, a
But
lot of people feel this.
knowing knowing I've got somebody with strong English, really great English skills, like that anxiety goes away and then I can actually see what's there.
Yeah, and having a team who's CODA often, or I suppose any strong team makes me relax as well. If I miss my team caught, something. So yeah, I just remember also is not related with this topic at all, but you and I were working together and Audrey is a mover and a shaker, literally.
Oh my gosh.
Move when she's working and working into English. And it's great to have wonderful friends and teams.
Oh,
And I held this girl as she tried to squirm and move.
You have held me on many occasions, actually. I remember another time I was so
Yes.
freezing, I couldn't even think. You're like, I'm here to keep you warm as I'm like talking in the
Uh,
microphone. But
but
yes, that
like,
movement, like the speaker was like signing out there and I was like moving. And the way the rows were, they were
yes,
just so close together. And the person behind me was like moving their coffee back.
you're hitting
And you're
their
like, just keep
table.
going. I got you. Keep going. Keep going. I'm like, all right, let's do it.
These things are important. It's important to have friends slash team interpreters in those moments because we were comfortable. There was no offense taken from
Right.
anybody. And yeah, um, yeah,
And I mean, you talk about loving having teams that you can trust, definitely, and also having a strong team as well. I mean, and like having no ego involved. I mean, just recently at the TSID conference, I was partnered with Sonia Smith, who is, I mean, she's my number one. You're my number two. You're my number two.
okay.
but but you two are. I mean, you guys are my the English. You guys spoon feed me the English. But I was voicing. I was going into ASL the English, and then I don't know. It got a little too. I don't know. It was like too much about the officers or like more about the business dynamics, Robert's Rules of Orders or something. And I was just like,
Mm,
and I dropped and I just like passed the mic, was like, here you
yep.
go. And she just took it and like went off running and it was great. And it's great to know when you have, and like with when I was voicing into, speaking to your ear, like you just had to take over at that point because I was out. I couldn't do it.
And I wanted to talk with someone about that, the idea of no ego. And I wanted to like unpack it of like what are examples of like what does that mean? Because often we tell students that like you and we often say we got to let go of our ego, but like in practice, what does that mean? Showing up with no ego. And I was trying to think of actual examples. That's an example of that. Of you can hand the mic to someone, and if ego shows up, what would that look like? I mean, like, oh, you stupid, like, or like, okay, girl, I got this, like, with a little bit of, or fuck you, what are you doing? Do your job, or like, what
Right.
does ego look like?
Or like if I don't give it to you in the first place and I just suck and I just miss it all up when I should have
Yes.
passed it on the mic.
Right.
I think not enough people are giving up their work, to be honest with you. They're like, no, I got
Yeah.
it. I got it. No, give that shit up.
Yes.
Or like, okay, maybe like I just need you for this concept and then give it right back to me. Oh shit, I'm spilling my fucking drink. Oh, ASL. Oh, man, those big
That's
signs.
good.
I need lids. I know better. I need a lid. Anyway, so
Right. One word.
right, yes, exactly. Like you throwing out, or even knowing that, assuming that I don't know that word. Like give it to me even before I miss it.
Right.
I'm fine with that. Like
Right.
you can predict that word she doesn't know, and I'm just going to give it to her so she has it ready.
Or they assume I don't know, feed me that word, I ignore their feed, move forward, and they
That
don't take offense, or I don't
right.
take offense that you fed it to me. Great. If I take
Just
it or leave it,
just because you fed it right, exactly.
right. Yeah, I'd love to do a part of an episode of what does it mean to show up and have no ego? Like what are examples of that? I think we can as a human it's hard to have no ego,
Yeah, of course,
but yeah. And really often the places where it can show up is full of feelings, and it really is just having trust among your peers, trusting your team.
for sure. And that goes back to remember when I had those boundaries, those hard boundaries when I was an interpreter at first, and like, and
Mhm.
you're not friends with the interpreters. That's impossible.
Oh my gosh, yeah, my best friends are deaf people and interpreters at this point.
Right. You can't. Like this profession is just too mixed and messy even, I guess. Like if it,
Mhm.
I'm not saying you have to be best friends with everybody, but yeah, you've got to have an intimate relationship of some sort to be able to really excel
It's a
at the job.
vulnerable job.
So vulnerable for sure.
Another example I thought of when I was when you're taking a like I fed my team a word on Zoom in the chat. My team didn't use it, and then I was like, "Oh shit, I was wrong. I fed the wrong thing." So I typed
Yes.
back of like, "Never mind, ignore me. Sorry." And it's okay if we're wrong. It's okay. You
right?
got the message out. We're all good. You're not mad. I'm not mad. Nobody's mad. All is good, friends. So, like that. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
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 Ego's a good one.
I think I think sometimes, like as the support interpreter, sometimes I give a bad feed because I mean I missed it too. You missed it. I missed it. Like I don't catch everything, or maybe I misunderstood something. Like I missed something, or maybe I missed the negation, or and I feed you bad, and then you actually use the feed, and then you're upset with me now. Like hold
I'm mad
on,
at you.
what? Like all right, you're on your own next time. Like no, we can't because we're a team. Like we'll try again. But it's like, don't get mad at me if I give you a bad
Right.
feed. It's
We're all
like,
trying
just,
our best here.
yeah, just roll with it.
Yeah. Yeah. Let me see here.
Right.
Gotta look at my notes. Um, hmm. So as you said, what the 80s and 90s as a coda, obviously, and family dynamics and whatnot in society may be different. And the deaf experience back in that time was different. The careers were different. The education was different.
For sure. No VRS.
Oh gosh, yeah, right. How many phone calls did you have to interpret? Yeah.
Man.
Yeah. So I mean, now thinking the deaf community sometimes wants a coda interpreter. They want the best coda interpreter. And other times deaf people are like, oh, I don't care. It doesn't matter. It really varies.
I mean, sometimes they don't want the CODA because they're like, ooh, that's too personal. Like, I want
Right.
somebody that has no affiliation. Or sometimes I'm like, okay, you want me, but I don't
Ugh.
want that part of information in my brain because no, I don't. Just no.
Yes, because you're friends with, yeah. Hmm.
Yeah. Like, well, yeah. It's just, I mean, you have little nuggets of information like that I just don't want. And if I knew, like that's where VRS is a little tricky because in the community as an interpreter, I can look at the name and be like, nope, conflict of interest, nope, nope, nope. But with video relay service, I
Yep.
don't have that luxury.
Hmm.
I don't like if family wants me, I have to process that call whether I want to or not. And they're like, oh, it's no big deal. And it's like, okay, fine. Maybe it is no big deal, but you don't know where that call is going to evolve. And now we might be in the middle of a conversation, and now I'm, ugh, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
But at the same time, when I do, um, when I'm on VRS, I know so many people that come on VRS. So I'm always like, oh, okay, hey, what's up? Hey. And
And
it's like, it's fun. Like, or I don't know. I love my job. I work a lot because I love my job. I really do. And some jobs don't even feel like work.
hmm.
I mean, like the body tax isn't there. Like I get to drive, I get to listen to my system, I get my music, I have my me time. I get there and the client, like we're friends. We chat it up. Like that's my fix, you know what I mean? So I don't know. I think it's just different individually.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, the community's small for me. I imagine it is much, much smaller for you in just terms of who you know and the people around. Yeah. And there's a lot of talk of coda identity caught between those two worlds. And especially here, just on an episode, if we really want to, get into the coda identity aspect. But it means Audrey would have to, talk about her family. You'd have to talk about your friends, your cousins, your aunts. You'd have to get into it, and they're
Yep.
literally air their dirty laundry. Maybe whether that's good or bad, but then in 1 week, I may see those people. But if Andrea were to sit here and air my dirty laundry about my upbringing, pros, cons, all of that type of stuff, it wouldn't matter to you because this is not your profession. You're not going to see my family. So there is an extra layer of caution. So where is Audrey able to take care of herself? Where can you vent? With another coda? With like a peer? Do you have close folks that you can be yourself and talk about those deep things?
Oh yeah, definitely. Definitely. I have an amazing support system. I mean, you're one of them. Um, and I feel like I'm an open person. You can ask me and I will usually answer it. And I mean, so like I've got close CODA friends, I've got close deaf friends. I kind of have a good mix. But you're right. Where is Audrey? I mean, yeah, I feel like I have an identity, but I don't know. I'm kind of like, I
I
don't
mean,
even,
and you're older. You're not a 19-year-old. You've worked through more shit through the years. You've
definitely, yes.
unpacked a lot of this. So for sure, that's a huge thing.
Yeah, definitely. And what's interesting is so a lot of CODAs, their parents are deaf, and that might be it. So if and when they pass away, sometimes their CODA identity is done
Right.
and they kind of disconnect from that world. Whether it's the CODA world or the deaf world or the interpreter world, their identity can change. But mine, okay, so my father's the oldest deaf right now. He is 82. And the youngest in my family right now I mean, they were just born last week and one is in the
Wow.
womb still. And so it's like I have a huge deaf family. I will always have that connection, which I'm glad about. But at the same time, I don't know. It's not like I have to be careful, but it's
Well, you just don't want to offend.
right, right. And it's not just my life
Right.
because it really impacts them and out there as well. So I don't know. It's like people always ask, "Oh, why don't you write your story?" Why? And I'm like, no,
Yeah.
probably not. I mean, they're like, you can write it without your identity. And I'm like, no, I'm sure you can probably figure some things out just by,
Right.
certain things out there. So no, thank you. But I I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I really don't even know where I'm trying to go with this, but
Just, yeah.
it's hard because right, like the two worlds, hearing and deaf. And okay, so for example, like I love music. Music is a huge part of my life. Like I'm driving, I'm jamming, and when I'm driving, I'm signing the lyrics. But I've been forewarned, don't you post that. You're hearing, that's just for deaf people. That's for deaf deaf ticket followers. I'm like, all right, cool. I get that.
But that's Audrey expressing
Yeah,
herself.
right, right. But I also get that I am also a role model for those hearing people. So if those hearing people in ITP are like, oh, she's an hearing interpreter, she's signing it. And so now they think they can do it. So yeah, I have to I kind of have to mediate that, but I don't know. That's just one part of that of feeling of, oh, I have to suppress myself just a little bit more. But I do get it at the same time.
Well, the added layer of you work in the field of interpreting. So it adds the layer of complexity. If you went and worked, I don't know, as an accountant,
Yep.
as a CODA, things probably wouldn't be as complex.
Right, definitely.
Yeah, so therapy is the answer, right? Therapy?
No.
No? Not helpful?
Uh, I've tried, I've tried, and I've tried, but there's not enough
Right.
providers that understand the code experience.
That makes sense. It makes
Yeah.
sense.
Like
Yeah.
it just doesn't work.
There's no psychotherapy curriculum for CODAs, I'm sure.
I get little aspects of stuff and I mean and I see a psychiatrist. Like I do that. But as far as like that talk therapy and no, I have got the relationship with God. I'm good there. I follow scripture and I don't know. My therapy is my friends and my
Hmm.
self-care. But like a professional though, I find myself having to educate them. Like, why am I paying you? Like, no, I'm
Yeah.
good. Like, just write me a prescription. I'm good. Like, we're cool.
Right. Yeah. That makes sense. I mean, in I guess general in the interpreting profession, what would you want people who are CODAs or not CODAs, I guess just the interpreters in general, to know? And again, of course, we are speaking to one CODA, one human being with one perspective. This is not applicable or a general statement or general point of view. But if you could say something directly to people of like, hey, know this, what would you want people to know and understand or interpreters to understand about CODA interpreters, or at least you?
That you can't just be like, oh, that's a code interpreter. That's what a code interpreter is. They're just so different. It's I don't know. It just no.
100%.
Oh, and actually, it's funny. I okay, so growing up, I didn't even know what a CODA was. It was like not a thing growing up. Like, like there's CODA camp and all that. Like that the name CODA, CODA, I didn't know until I became an interpreter. And I was actually introduced to a deaf person by my team. And they're like, this is another CODA. This is Audrey. And I was livid. Like, don't label me a CODA. I'm Audrey first. Like, label second. Like, don't fucking label me. I was livid. And then I was like, okay, I get it. I get it. But, like it's we're not the same. So like I'm a person first, like CODA second.
Yeah, I like that. I like that. That's to interpreters. I mean, if you could make a comment or a direct statement to the deaf community about you as a CODA interpreter, what would you want the deaf community to understand?
Huh. Ooh, that's a good one.
I know. I
Oh
know.
no. Huh.
I mean, because, I mean, maybe in your everyday work, you don't feel any different, and there's really no approach that's different than anyone else. Like, you doesn't, it's, they didn't even know that you're a CODA, so maybe it doesn't matter. But I guess in general, what would you want deaf people to understand about you as an interpreter who's CODA?
Hmm. You have stumped me.
Good one. It's a
I
good one.
know.
I mean, it might be the same message that you have. I'm a human.
I
Then I'm a,
mean,
I'm a human
maybe,
first.
maybe. I mean, CODA definitely has shaped my experience. Yes,
Yeah.
definitely. Definitely. Um, I mean, really, I don't even really interact with many hearing people. Or I mean, sure, I interact in the hearing world, like hearing people, but I have very few just hearing friends that are not involved in the signing community. Like very few.
Right. Where would you meet him anyway?
Right, right. I mean, I have my few in my cigar community and that group, but other than that, I have no hearing friends at all.
Yeah. Interesting. Yeah, I mean, and again, to emphasize to everyone, this is one person's point of view, one person's perspective. If I interviewed another CODA, this conversation would be completely different.
Oh, I think I know what I would want to say to the deaf community. Like, give others that are not CODAs a chance too. I mean, I feel like sometimes they can be a little too much of, I want CODA. And it's like, there are tons of really skilled, and just because they're not CODA, but they might have had parallel experiences. Maybe they started with a close friend that was deaf, like when they were 9, or but because they don't have the label, they're looked down on. And it's just, I don't know. I just hate labels.
Yeah. Yeah. I think, and then generationally, that's changing. Again, right. You've worked
Yeah.
with folks, we're working with people who just graduated. They or some may have same old view from before, but I feel like the newer generation is kind of putting less weight on that label of CODA. I don't know.
I mean, because so yes, I am skilled. I am good at my job, receptively, expressively, like different niches. But I didn't just wake up. I mean, I put in effort. Like I go to workshops, I
Right.
mentor,
Worked hard. Yeah.
yeah, I work towards my profession. I'm involved in boards, I'm involved with this. And I mean, there's so much stuff I'm in. Like I am involved. Like not all CODAs are involved. And so, and that's fine. Not everybody has to be involved. But it's like, I don't even know where I'm going with this anyway, but
Well, and like people might think Audrey, she's great in who she is just because she's CODA. Really, you worked your ass off to get where you're at,
I did.
to do well at your job, period.
Right.
So yeah, we're coming up on 1 hour.
I
Um,
know.
any last thoughts, nuggets, things you wanna say at the end here about your experience, or I guess just in general, or your CODA experience? Yeah.
Um, I am grateful for my code experience for sure. I feel like, I mean, just being able to be raised in the deaf culture is beautiful. I mean, I got to be raised in Austin, which is such a rich
The
culture.
best. The best.
I mean, just having to uproot from Austin was tough because the deaf community is just not the same here, unfortunately. I mean, I don't know, it's just different. Maybe
Yeah,
it's just
just different.
because, yeah, maybe I just don't know enough, and maybe I just need to meet more, or maybe it will become. I've been here for what? We've almost been here for 6 years, and I finally feel like I am setting some roots.
Recognize people. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's just a different experience, but in itself, but I don't know, it's just rich. And I'm so grateful for it because I think what really shaped me was, I think it shaped me as the em empathetic person that I am, and that I can really try to look at things with all lenses. And I really try to look at through the hearing lens. And I really try, I mean, just through everyday life stuff. That's just how I approach the world, is with different lenses.
Yeah, and I'm glad you're CODA because it made you who you are. And
Yes.
any job I see your name on as my team, I'm like, yes. Like it's like a
Yes.
warm blanket. Your friend, and the community is extremely grateful for who you are. And you just bring what you bring to the job, which is great. So, um,
Love
yeah.
you.
And then, yeah, at the end of each episode, I ask folks to highlight a deaf organization or deaf business. So you had a few that you wanted to name. Who do you want to bring attention to and highlight?
Yes. First, I want to spotlight Tate Toulier. He's a photographer and is amazing. He just did my business headshots
Nice.
and he was fantastic. And I really love working with deaf photographers because he's like, okay, go left. And he just like directs me using signs. I didn't have to think about, okay, which way is right or left when it's spoken English. Like it was just, oh, it was good.
Yeah.
It was good. It was
Yeah.
fabulous. And then the other one I would really like to, and I order a lot of my swag from, is Girl and Creativity.
Mm,
There's a lot of like vinyl shirts and like cups and mugs and like stuff like that, like cool stuff like ASL, signing community, deaf. It's cool.
nice. Yeah, I'll put both their names and websites on the episode show notes.
Awesome.
Thanks, Audrey.
Yes. Thank you for inviting me. And I'm so proud of you for doing this. Like,
Thanks.
really, like, this is needed. Like, our profession needs this. I love your title. I think it's so awesome.
You're one of several who, when I thought of CODA, I wanted to talk with. There's a few others, but yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
Well, I was like, oh, do we do a group or do we just do solo? But I wanted that connection with you and I.
Yes.
And I was a little nervous that if I, like, because I told you that, like, instant connection with CODAs, that would I have too much of a bond with them and like forget about my host, my friend, like who I care about? So I wanted that one-on-one time.
Well, I really appreciate your time, your vulnerability, your
Yes.
wisdom, and we'll edit out any of the shit we don't like, all right? So awesome.
Awesome.
Thanks so
Love
much.
you.
Love
Thank you
you.
for inviting me. Bye.
Thanks.